Hello everybody, this is the chef's show today. No, I'm just kidding. I bought this hat last year for Halloween and actually never get to wear it, so I thought, hey, why not throw it on just for today? So we are going to be in the kitchen, and I bought myself a whole salmon on Friday, and every single time I get myself a whole fish, I think, what am I going to do with this? So today I thought, I'm going to make myself some fish head soup. Where am I? So I've just had to give the head a very quick rinse because it was actually starting to smell. Even though it's only 2 days old, there's an old expression that I heard once upon a time, a fish always starts to smell from the head, and it was true here because the head definitely was starting to get a bit of a funk to it. I've rinsed it off and it smells okay now, so we're still going to give it a go. But yeah, I basically just got myself a whole whack of ingredients out here, and I've been watching some videos trying to get an idea. And I think it's going to be more of a mashup of different cultures, so don't criticize me and say that's not traditional salmon miso soup from Japan, that's not traditional Chinese fish head soup, that's not authentic Vietnamese, anything like that. This is going to be sort of an Asian inspired, I'm still doing whatever I feel like because it's my soup, and I just wanted to try something new. So we're going to combine this with all the ingredients that I've got out here, and hopefully it's going to turn out well and you'll give it a go yourself. Fish head soup. Here we go. So we're going to start out by going through the fish head and the other little bits that I've managed to save from cutting up the salmon. I wanted to do a video on that, but it was an 11-pound fish and it was kind of awkward with this amount of space that I had, and it really wouldn't have been a good quality video, so I did decide to skip it in the end. But at some point I guess I'll get either a slightly smaller fish and do it inside, or I'll get a bigger fish and set it up outside where I've got the room to move. But as you can see by the size of the head, this guy basically covered the entire counter, and it was pretty messy at some point. So we're going to cut all the nice bits of meat, get that out. I'm going to break the head down a little bit because it is far too big to go in the pot as is. I guess this part should have come with a warning. If you're vegetarian, turn away now. I'm pretty sure if you're vegetarian, you don't really want to be watching this anyway, do you? So there's the head, and you can see how far in the meat goes there. This is why you don't want to throw away a head in the first place, because there is quite a bit of meat still on it. There's the head, and I've heard if you fry these, if you sort of bread these and fry these, they're also delicious, very crispy. This is the belly meat that you've heard me talk about before, also very delicious. I'm just going to break some of those bits up. That's ready to go. And this, I think what's going to happen with this, I didn't make the cleanest cut, so there is quite a bit of meat still on there as well. But what you can also do with this, you can boil this just lightly, and then you get all that meat out, and you basically have canned salmon, if you're so inclined. So I think that's what'll separate that like that. And that is actually, to tell you the truth, that is mostly meat in there. There's a little bit of collagen running down the middle. All fresh meat. Got that to play with. That's the other half of the belly. There's another fin. All that's ready. And then that's sort of the mid to late section. That is definitely going for canned salmon. And then you got the tail, with a little bit on there. So now that all that's cut up, basically, that's the fish ready to go for the soup. So take the fish board out. Give your hands a good scrub as always. Never a good idea to get raw fish all over everything else. Hands are washed all clean. Safety first, ladies and gentlemen. Always clean your work surfaces. And we'll start with the veggies. I'm just going to move this entirely out of the way for a minute. I'll give you a rundown of what I'm thinking of doing. I got some cabbage, I'm going to cube some of that. Do a couple of potatoes, carrots, leeks, celery, the holy trinity of French cooking. We'll do some sprouts because I love sprouts. Got the onion, got the garlic, got some mushrooms. And then after all that, you can sort of see over here I've pulled everything but the kitchen sink. Anything that I thought I could use, I've got it all together over here, and we'll go through that as I make the broth. So I think basically what I should do is get the broth ready now, or I could, no, what I probably will do is I'll get all the veg ready to go, then I'll make the broth, and then it's just a matter of dumping everything into the broth. So yeah, let's get started on that. Fish knife out of the way. Veggie knife in hand, and we'll just start chopping up some veg. What I'll do get this big platter out here. And everything will be ready to go. Chop that off there. This is an onion I just sliced a little bit off of earlier, making myself sandwiches. I'll use up the rest of that. So again, what I really liked about this idea was the fact that you're not just throwing out the fish head. I mean, a lot of people are probably going to look at this and say, ew, fish head, that's gross, that's disgusting. What's even more disgusting to me, and it is kind of a popular theme these days, but you shouldn't be throwing out perfectly edible parts of the animal. If you're going to eat the animal, make use of the whole thing. Don't just buy it for the tenderloin, but eat the whole thing. Because otherwise you're just wasting food, right? There are always starving children in some part of the world. off of these. This is probably the quickest prep I've ever done. Lightning speed. And I couldn't really decide on crushed garlic or whole garlic. I think end of the day, I really like this stuff whole. Don't know how many of you know this, but when you crush garlic, basically what's happening is you see that little germ right there. When you crush garlic, you mix that germ with the outer part of the garlic, and when those two get mixed together, that causes a type of chemical reaction, and that's what makes garlic strong. However, if you just go like that, it stays much milder. I don't know if you've ever roasted garlic whole, but you can just get a piece of foil like that. Take your garlic like that. Take some oil like that. And you wrap that up just like that. Drop that in an oven at about 350 for maybe 45 minutes or so. And when that comes out, all you're going to do is take the individual cloves of garlic in the skin and just squeeze, and it should pop out like a little brown paste. And that's when you're buying garlic in the store, you'll see it sometimes, it comes in a paste, and that's all it is. It comes out very sweet, very delicious. There you go. That's ready. A couple of those. Another trick, if you're not a fan of celery and all the stringy bits, just peel it off. You don't like stringy celery? Get rid of it. Like that. I think I need a better peeler though. Chop the ends off again. Give that a bit of a rinse because it's easier when it's whole. Done. Carrots ready to go. I really want to get one of those holes in the counter right there, and then I can just push everything off and dump it in. make life so much easier. I'm just going to take a carrot and I think I will just do that. And then, last but not least, we'll throw in a couple of potatoes. And I think we're ready for making the broth. Oops, missed a bit. Run away, Spud. Okay. Very quick cleanup here. All food for the rabbits. They ate my squash all summer. I hadn't seen rabbits in ages. Last couple of days I've been coming in kind of late and I see them running around in the dark. So they're not spending so much time out in the daylight anymore. Coming a little bit later in the day. Although obviously, yeah, it's kind of darker sooner here now. And I got the mushrooms. Just cut up a couple like that. These mushrooms are a little squishy. Go with that. Okay. So I think we'll take it over to the stove and start on the broth. Here we are now, the water has boiled, it's time to play! I'm going to start out with a little sheet of roasted seaweed. We'll see how that goes. Just toss a bit of that in there for flavoring. And I don't have any miso paste, so I'm going to do the next best thing. And that is just combine some soy, that's the end of that bottle, should be about enough, and some fish sauce. Give a few shots of that instead of bonito flakes, and I've also got some oyster sauce and I'm just going to add a bit of that in too. All that should give it a lovely flavor. And just because I'm experimenting, like I said, this is not Japanese style fish head soup, this is not Chinese style fish head soup, this is my style. So I'm combining flavors here, but before I do that, thinking before I combine them I should find out if they work or not. Always taste what you're doing. Ooh, that's hot. don't think I put enough in. I think I can go more. There we go. Next bottle of soy sauce. Let's see if that's any better. Yep, that's got a little more something to it. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to scoop a little of that out. And like I said, it's a combination today. So the Japanese style is like that. The Chinese style, mentioned tomato. You pour a little bit of tomato in there. A separate batch, so I don't have to start over completely if it's horrible. Kind of works and kind of doesn't. I think we'll just dump that in there and call it a day. And then I'm going to add a little bit of vinegar. This is rice wine vinegar. To kick up the acid a bit. And I'm also going to add in some honey to sweeten the pot, as they say. Ha ha! And we'll see how that works. I'm not too scared about the honey. I think that's going to work. Now that is a fairly tasty broth. Throw a little bit of salt in there. Throw a little bit of pepper in there. And I have some lemongrass from a while ago, so we'll just dried out lemongrass. Just chuck that in. And I'm going to add a little bit of heat. So this is going a little bit off the script, but these are Mexican guajillo peppers, I believe. Name's in the jar here somewhere. So I'm just going to add a whole pepper in there. They're not really hot. We'll add some sweet chili sauce. Dump all that in there. And A little bit of hoisin for fun. That should be a pretty good broth. It's dark, probably a bit darker than I wanted it to be. But the important part is the taste at the end of the day. And that's a tasty broth. So now that I've got the broth where I want it, I'm just going to turn the heat off. I'm going to strain it. All the bits out, and then I'll be left with a pure and simple broth. All the little bits left over, so we'll just get rid of that. Chuck it in the bin. And because it's the big pot, I'm just going to actually switch it back over. I'll put it back in the big one. I don't get anything boiling over. And it's been double strained, so you're always going to get a couple of extra bits. So there you go. That's ready for the next stage. Fire it back up, get it going, and we're going to start adding some fish bits. Alright, we got a bit of a rolling boil going here, and we've got a head chopped up into manageable, sort of bite-size-ish pieces. So I'm just going to start tossing these in here, and we're going to let them cook till almost done, and then we'll take them out and add in the veg. There's your eyeball. Thanks, Hero. There's your other eyeball. And we'll let that go for a bit. And we're going to add in some of the belly meat. Grab a handful like that, toss them in there. And what else have we got? Some more belly. And we'll save a bit, maybe we'll do some candied salmon as well, with some little bits left over. So, give that a stir. See it changing already. It'll probably go a couple of minutes, and then we're going to add in the veg and cover it and let it go for another 5 to 10 minutes. We're getting the vegetables in the pot now, and I'm going to admit something here. I got this idea mostly from watching Hiroyuki Terada's channel, Diaries of a Master Chef. He did a salmon fish head soup, and that's basically where I watched. I saw a couple of other videos, but I mean, like, I subscribe to his channel. I'm a big fan. And apparently there was a bit of a stink. Some people made some comments because the cameraman had mentioned that Hiro had OCD because of the way he stacked the vegetables in the pot like this. And I thought, that's not even OCD. That's just a chef taking pride in his work. And at the same time, it's practical because you could say, you know, this way you guarantee everybody gets a little bit of something, because all you have to do is go around the pot and pick out each bit as you like it. So I don't think it's an OCD issue. At the same time, he made the pot look a lot nicer than I did because I can't get these veg to stand up at all. So we're just going to tuck all this in. I'm not as concerned, but sort of keep everything in the same general area because, as I said, it's easier to portion it out afterwards if you do it this way. So there you go, everything's in. We'll toss the mushrooms on top. Dropped one down there. Careful, that's hot. I think maybe I'll get that later, after it cools off. Okay, so that's in. And the fish head bits. Let's give you a little look. That's pretty much cooked now. But we'll throw that on top. And then get the heat going. We're just going to pour this right on top. And let it that far up. And that should go probably about 10 minutes or so till the veg gets soft. Put a cover on that. We'll come back in 10 minutes. So here we are, just about done. And I'm going to finish it off with some Thai rice noodles. Told you it was Asian fusion. I'll just get a bit of this out. Oh, these are messy. Just sort of spread them out like that. And they should only take about a minute, because they're the extra fine vermicelli, angel hair, whatever you want to call it. Extra small noodles. So that's getting ready. I'm going to grab a bowl. And we're going to plate this bad boy up. Let's see what we got. I think I did say I was going to pick it out individually, so there you go. We got some leek to go on the bottom. Take some carrots off the side. Grab a chunk or two of eyeball. Fin. There's another eyeball. And then my personal favorite, the sprouts. We'll get some noodles. In the meantime, we can turn the heat off. I said it's just about done. Sprouts. I threw mushrooms in there somewhere, I think. There's one. I guess the one thing that might not be quite cooked just yet. No, that's still pretty soft. There's a potato. Some celery. Some onion. And I'll just put Nice big pieces of salmon right on top. And that should be that. And then we'll take some broth. And that's it. Right down the edge. Make it look all pretty for the camera, right? And then, handful of chives right on top. And that, as they say, is that. You can catch that. Let me know what you think. So basically what I have made here is a fish soup, a salmon fish head soup. But it's got a sort of hot and sour feel to it, like a Vietnamese hot and sour soup. But not gonna lie, it's tasty. Somebody out there is saying, I want to see him eat the eyeball, so here you go. Here's the eyeball.